Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you are joining us. We welcome you to the Title VI training here at the town of Smyrna. Today we're going to be reviewing a bit about the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but we are going to primarily focus on Title VI of the Act, why it's important, and what it means for us. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed to ensure the people of the United States equal treatment, rights, and opportunities regardless of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Civil Rights Act is made up of 11 different sections or titles, each addressing specific areas. For instance, Title II outlawed discrimination in hotels, motels, restaurants, and theaters. Title IV outlawed segregation in public schools. Title VI of that act prohibits discrimination in federally funded programs. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 states that no person in the United States shall, on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Federal financial assistance includes grants, training, use of equipment, donations of surplus property, and other assistance. Some examples include money for road projects and public works, grants for parks and greenways, equipment and education for the police and fire departments. All programs and operations of entities that receive federal assistance must comply. On May 31, 1993, Tennessee became the first state to pass legislation enforcing Title VI compliance, which extended throughout all departments, programs, and agencies. With this ruling, any crack or uncovered part of the federal law had now been included, so that all must comply. Prejudice and discrimination. Prejudice is an adverse opinion or judgment towards anything without just grounds or sufficient knowledge. Prejudice is an irrational attitude of hostility directed against an individual, group, race, or their supposed characteristics. Prejudice can be for or against an individual, group, or object. Any individual or group can hold prejudice toward another individual, group, or object. Discrimination is taking those prejudices, those opinions or attitudes, and putting them into action. Discrimination is differential treatment that favors one individual, group, or object over another. It is often the result of actions based on prejudicial attitudes, and it is illegal to discriminate based on race, color, national origin, religion, age, sex, pregnancy, disability, citizenship, familial status, veteran status, or genetic information. Title VI prohibits discriminatory activity in a facility built in whole or part with federal funds. It encourages the participation of minorities as members of planning or advisory bodies for programs receiving federal funds, and it requires information and services to be provided in languages other than English when a significant number of beneficiaries are of limited English-speaking ability. Prohibited practices. Title VI prohibits denying any services, opportunities, or other benefits because of race, color, or national origin. Title VI prohibits subjecting any service recipient to segregated or separate treatment in any manner related to his or her receipt of service. Title VI prohibits segregating clients solely because of race, color, or national origin. It is prohibited to restrict any eligible recipients of a service, facility, or any other advantage, privilege, or other benefit provided to others under the same program. Title VI prohibits impairing human dignity by manner of address or treatment that denotes inferiority because of race, color, or national origin. It prohibits adopting methods of administration which would limit participation by any group of recipients or subject them to discrimination. Here are some examples of what not to do. The town center is an excellent place for people in the community to come together and celebrate big events. If we were to deny any eligible recipient the use of the town center because they are the same nationality as a previous user who destroyed property, it would be wrong. It would be discrimination, and it would be illegal. Sure, we can say that the Bonapartes were terrible customers and ruined good equipment, but we cannot say that they will never do business with anyone of French nationality. Another example pertains to our emergency service providers. These jobs include fire, police, or our telecommunicators. If an officer encounters a need for help by someone who is unable to speak English effectively, the officer does not tell them, "I'm sorry, I only speak English and am unable to help you." As we will discuss later in the presentation, we are responsible for serving regardless of ability. In addition, there are tools available to help us along the way. Environmental justice. Title VI states that each agency shall make achieving environmental justice part of its mission by identifying and addressing, as appropriate, disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental effects of its programs, of its policies, and activities on minority and low-income populations. In other words, the town of Smyrna should consider the impact of its policies, its programs, its new construction, etc. on minority or low-income populations. Limited English Proficiency, otherwise known as LEP. It is our responsibility and task as representatives of government to help bridge the gap for our citizens who are in need of our services but may not be able to communicate effectively. This is known as limited English proficiency. It is the inability to speak, read, write, or understand the English language at a level that permits a service recipient to interact effectively with staff in accessing public services and benefits. Not providing services that are otherwise accessible constitutes discrimination based on national origin. In fact, Executive Order 13166 mandates that federal agencies are to examine their provided services, identify any need for services to those with limited English proficiency, and develop and implement a system to provide those services so LEP persons can have meaningful access to them. So how do we improve access? Well, we do so by using interpreters, posting signs in other languages, utilizing Language Line, or using iSpeak cards. Each department has unique customer needs. Speak with your supervisor to discuss the tools and options you have to better help your LEP customers. So right now we know what the law states, we know how it applies, and now we know what tools are available for us to use to help LEP persons. But what happens if I have or I receive a Title VI complaint? Well, that's simple. Refer any complaints or forward them to Jeff Craig, who is our HR director here at the town of Smyrna. He's also our Title VI coordinator. He can be reached via phone at 615-355-5771, extension 2136, or the easiest way is to simply email him at jeff.craig@townofsmyrna.org. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is not the only law that attempts to identify and remove discrimination in our everyday lives. Some other laws against discrimination include Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It prohibits the denial of benefits and services to individuals with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 offers civil rights protection for individuals with disabilities and mandates state and local government compliance. The Age Discrimination Act of 1975 prohibits discrimination based on age in programs or activities receiving federal financial assistance. And finally, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibit discrimination based on gender in education programs and activities. All of the topics and subjects and laws discussed today in this Title VI training can be found in the Employee Handbook. If you don't have a copy or you have a question about what you've read today, please reach out to HR via email or give us a call, and we'll be glad to get you a handbook or answer any questions you may have. Congratulations! You have completed the Title VI training. Please follow the link below the presentation to receive credit for this training session.